Okay, great. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Committee of Adjustment meeting number 10, October 9th, 2024. I'm opening the meeting, and I don't have the time here, at 6:34. We'll start off by reading the land acknowledgement. I'll ask Councillor Wilson to do that for us. Thanks.
Thank you. The municipality of North Grenville acknowledges that the municipality operates on the territory of the Anishinaabe. We recognize all First Nations, Métis, and Inuit peoples who now call North Grenville their home. We respect and support the need for cultivating a strong relationship, and we commit to Indigenous-informed decision-making to foster the path towards reconciliation.
Thank you, Councillor Wilson. We'll move on to any disclosures of interest. We've got Councillor Stracher-Yan online. Any disclosure of interest? Councillor Wilson? Councillor Stracher-Yan?
I have none. Thank you.
Okay. You sound pretty rough. Get well soon. Moving on, we are going to look to approve the minutes of September 11th, 2024. I'll need a mover and a seconder for that. Councillor Wilson moves.
I'll second.
Obviously, thank you. And all in favor? Or any discussion about the minutes? Yes, sorry. Any discussion about the minutes before we vote? None? None. Okay, great. All in favor?
Aye.
Great. Now we move on to a public hearing. This is for 2016 Clothier Street East, and I'll read the prescribed instructions. The Committee of Adjustment will now hold a public hearing to consider application number A-13-24 for Paul Robinson of Robinson Consulting on behalf of 11937723 Canada Corp. Attention, Tangender Saro, on the lands located at 216 Clothier Street East, Plan 11, Lot 8, geographic town of Kemptville, now the municipality of North Grenville, to reduce zone standards for the driveway at the subject property. This hearing is your opportunity to provide any feedback on this application, and the committee welcomes any questions and comments you may have. We encourage you to do so at this public hearing, as the Planning Act rules suggest that the public's ability to voice objections later in the process may be limited if a written or oral comment is not submitted. An appeal may be filed to the Ontario Land Tribunal by the applicant, a specified person, example, Hydro One Inc., or a public body. Debbie Wood, Secretary Treasurer, will keep a record summary of the meeting. Any persons who wish to receive notice of the committee's decision concerning this matter are asked to speak with Debbie Wood, Secretary Treasurer, following this hearing, or provide your contact information on the sign-in sheet at the entrance. Are there people here for this public meeting? If so, could you acknowledge? Thank you. I'll now pass the meeting over to Mohammed Zahid, Planner 1, who will give an update on the application for 2016 Clothier Street East. Thank you, Mohammed.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I would like to proceed with the application. This application was submitted by Robertson Consulting on behalf of the property owners of 216 Clothier Street East. As you can see, the first slide, it does shows the aerial image of the property. And I would like to mention before proceeding further, there is a reference to Oxford and the economic enterprise designation in the report, but this is in the town of Kemptville and within the residential land use designation. And next slide, please. Yep. The property was subject to a consent application, which was heard on August 16, 2023, and granted by the United Counties of Leeds and Grenville Consent Granting Authority on August 17, 2023. One of the conditions of the severance approval was to obtain minor variance approval for the deficient lot frontage and other elements I just mentioned. And this application has been applied to get relief for reduced driveway according to section 6.38.11I of comprehensive zoning bylaw in order to reduce their proposed driveway as, as, as which is 0.54 meter, the space. And according to the zoning bylaw, the minimum requirement is 1 meter. And when it comes to the background, as I have already mentioned that it has gone through the severance, and 4 of the 5 minor variants of this application has been incorporated as permitted use, because when the applicant applied for this application, there were like 5 total minor variants, from which 4 of them has been incorporated or meets with the zoning provisions now. And from them, it was lot frontage on the east and the west side. There was a location of additional residential units. And the last, it was the proposed additional residential unit on the east side. And the subject property has an area of 0.25 hectares. Next slide, please. The property, it is located at 216 Clothier Street East, and approximately it has the 0.25 hectares in size. It is zone residential third density R3, and it is designated as residential urban serviced area 1 in the official plan. Next slide, please. That's the updated site plan. So the applicant has like provided an updated site plan, which includes 2 tandem parking spots on the driveway of the existing house. This configuration meets the parking requirement for that unit and has now been incorporated as a permitted use. Next slide. Also regarding for the comments, internally, we have received comments from bylaw services. They have like raised concerns regarding the reduction of on-street parking due to the proposed driveway. The property is located in an area where on-street parking is limited to 3 hours during the day, and no overnight parking is allowed during declared winter storm events. The addition of the new driveway reduces at least 1 on-street parking space. And from the building department, they had no objections, but noted that a new address will be required for the vacant lot, and that a building permit must be obtained before any construction begins. And regarding the public input, no comments were like received from the public or external agencies at the time of the report preparation. Next slide, please. The application meets all the requirement for minor variance upholding the general intent of the official plan. In the zoning bylaw, it represents good land use planning, and staff recommend approval. That's everything. And if you have any comments, do let me know. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that report. We'll hear from the applicant. I have some comments after if the applicant wishes to speak. So I've got a little bit of text to read. Sorry. The committee will now hear from the applicant, followed by members of the public who wish to speak either for or against the proposal. Following any comments from the public, the applicant will be offered an opportunity to respond to questions raised. All persons wishing to address the proposal will ask their questions through the chair. Please be advised that verbal feedback received at this meeting forms part of the public record, and as such, we ask you to please state your name and address prior to addressing the committee with your feedback. Thank you. And please state your name, and you're here on behalf of the applicant, I understand.
Yes, good evening. My name's Paul Robinson. I'm here as the consultant on behalf of the owners. As was stated in the presentation, last August, we secured severance approval from the United Counties on this. And at the time, it was flagged that we were going to be having variances required on lot width. And then as we got into detailed plans on the westerly portion of the property, because the easterly portion has an existing home that is remaining, it's the vacant land on the west half of the property that is the subject of a new home to be built. And when we filed the minor variance application for this property, I think it was in late August or early September, I believe the housekeeping amendment that reduced the required lot width from 15 meters to 10 meters in this zone. I don't believe it had gone through the completion of the appeal period. So that is the subject of a couple of the variances that we had initially filed for, but are no longer required. And then I believe in that same omnibus or housekeeping amendment, there were some modifications related to additional dwelling units and so forth. So the only remaining variance, and if the coordinator could put up the slide that shows the site plan, that would be greatly appreciated. Thank you. So the variance that is being sought is, you can see where at the front of the property, there's two pairs of tandem parking spaces, two of which are to be used by the existing home, which is on the left-hand side, and two are for the right-hand side, plus one in the garage. So that unit will have 3 parking spaces. And just to the right of the 2 parking spaces that are assigned to the existing home is the severance line. And the setback of the west edge of those 2 parking spaces is 0.54 meters from the severance line instead of 1 meter, which is the requirement. There's some existing, protrusions of the building. So there is only the existing driveway. So that is why we have a requirement for 0.54 meters. We are, I believe, 1.2 meters from the severance line to the tandem parking that is for the new home. So the distance between the 2 the rows of parking is 1.74 meters. I think the distance that also coincides with the distance of these parking spaces to the closest point of the new building. So those are some of the dimensions that are in play here, and it's only one variance for a reduced setback of a parking space to a lot line, which in this case is the severance line. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Could you state your name? I'm sorry, I
sorry.
didn't catch it.
Paul Robinson.
Okay, Mr. Robinson, sorry, it's in the documents
Yep.
here. A question, that was one question I had in the presentation in the report. It said 4 of 5 variances had been completed. So, and that was due in part to the comprehensive zoning bylaw that we passed as a municipality. It's nice to see that it's bared fruit.
It eliminated 4 out of 5.
Yeah, well, that's wonderful. We didn't plan about this kind of variance, otherwise you wouldn't have to be here.
No.
The new build is to the left, from what I see, right?
No, the
No,
new
it's to
build
the
is on the
right.
right.
On the right.
That's all shaded in.
Yes, okay, I thought that. I misunderstood from your presentation which was which.
Yeah.
The-
The view that you see on the screen with Clothier at the bottom, that is looking south.
Okay, all right, great, got it. So okay, I understand now. I don't have any questions,
Thank you.
but I'll open it up to my council colleagues. Go ahead, Councillor Wilson.
Through you, Chair
Yes, Chair,
Deputy
Chair
Mayor?
or Deputy Mayor? I'll answer to both,
Berkeley.
but not your worship, so I'm sorry.
I'm very familiar with this property. It's nice to see some intensification happening on this street and in the downtown core. Thank you.
Councillor Shahrian, do you have any questions for the applicant?
No questions. It seems like a good use of this space as well. So I'll concur with Councillor Wilson. Thank you.
Great. So now let's table the resolution for the committee to consider, but we have considered it to a certain extent. Okay, does that require me having to read the resolution? Yes, yes, I can, if I choose. Okay, where is the resolution? Thank you. Ah, on my other stack. There we go. Okay, here's the resolution. That the Committee of Adjustment grant relief for the property located at 216 Clothier Street East, former town of Kemptville, now the municipality of North Grenville, from the following section of the Comprehensive Zoning Bylaw 50-12. To provide relief from sections 6.38, 11I, to reduce the zone standards for the driveway at the subject property. Because the request is minor, the intent of the comprehensive zoning bylaw and the official plan are being maintained, and the variances are within the parameters of the residential designation. So do I have a mover?
I will move.
Okay, Councillor Strachian got in there before you. Councillor Wilson, and seconded by Councillor Wilson. Okay. Great. So next we move on to adjournment. Oh, call the question. Yes, thank you. Boy, see, that's the simplest thing to do as chair, isn't it? Okay. All right, I'm calling the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Great, thank you. That's passed.
Thank you very much, and I'd like to thank staff for all their assistance on this. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, now we're going to move on to adjournment. There we go. So I'm looking for a mover and a seconder to adjourn. Councillor Wilson to move.
And I will second.
Okay, thank you very much. All in favor?
Aye.
Great. That concludes the Committee of Adjustment. And I'll just finish the paperwork and
Test, test.
Roll camera. Take one. Oh, okay. Sorry.
No.
Yep. Okay. Okay. Just, okay, great. Flow is important. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to our council meeting on October 9th. Before we get started, I'd just like to extend the mayor's regrets, who's on Parliament Hill today, working in recognition of World Mental Health Day. I'd also like to acknowledge that Councillor Doreen O'Sullivan is traveling and sends her regrets as well, and that Councillor Strachan is attending virtually and is at home ill. Get well soon, Councillor Strachan. The mayor has sent some notes, and she says, as we approach Thanksgiving weekend, she wants to take a moment to wish all of our residents a very happy Thanksgiving, as do all of council. I hope everybody finds a way to enjoy the holiday this weekend, be it with family and friends, or simply reflecting on what we are thankful for in our community, which is a lot. I know the holidays can be a tough time for some, for many reasons, and to those people, we send our thoughts and hopes for peace. As a note, the municipal offices are closed on Monday, and as with all other holidays, trash and recycling services will be bumped by 1 day. So if you're like me and you usually put it out on Monday, it moves, in my case, till Tuesday. Today marks the last working day of Fire Chief John Oakham. On behalf of council and the entire community, I want to personally thank him for his years of dedicated service to North Grenville. His leadership has been a cornerstone of our emergency services, and he will be greatly missed. Thanks, Chief, and happy retirement. Now I'll look to a council colleague to read the land acknowledgement. Who would like to do that? Thank you, Councillor Wilson.
The municipality of North Grenville acknowledges that the municipality operates on the territory of the Anishinaabe. We recognize all First Nations, Métis, and Inuit peoples who now call North Grenville their home. We respect and support the need for cultivating a strong relationship, and we commit to Indigenous informed decision-making to foster the path towards reconciliation.
Thank you very much. And I failed to call the meeting to order, which I should have done. So that was around 6:55, if that's important. Yes, it is. Okay. On to the approval of the agenda. And thank you. We're looking for approval of the agenda, moved by Councillor Wilson and seconded by Councillor Strachan. Be it resolved that the council agenda for October 9th be approved as presented. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. I'm slowing us down by signing everything, but all has to be done. We don't have any closed session this evening. Any disclosures of interest? Seeing none or hearing none? Yes. Okay. We're on to presentations and delegations. I understand we have one regarding Local Government Week. And be it resolved that Council of the Corporation of the Municipality of North Grenville proclaims the week of October 20th to 26th as Local Government Week. And that's moved by Councillor Wilson, seconded by Councillor
Second.
Strachan. Yep, thank you. I guess I should read I've already read the resolution. Sorry about that. Any discussion about that? Do we have any information on that?
Through you, Deputy Mayor, I would just note that the municipality is hosting the Mayor for a Day event. We are hosting it a bit early this year, and we are very excited to share that with the public. So there will be some additional communication coming out, which is in recognition of Local Government Week,
And that's on Tuesday next, is that right?
Wednesday.
Wednesday next. Good. I've got that noted because it's also Deputy Mayor for a Day. Okay. All in favor of this declaration? Thank you.
Aye.
Thank you very much. Getting better at this. Yes. Now we move on to items listed under the consent agenda, and we consider those routine or no longer require further discussion and are enacted in one motion. The exception to this rule is that a member may request that one or more items be pulled for discussion and voted on separately. So I get this on the table through moving and seconding, and then we discuss whether, yes, okay. So moved by Councillor Wilson. Seconded
Second.
by Councillor Stracher-Yan. Thank you. Be it resolved that the following consent agendas be approved as presented. Regular meeting minutes of September 11th, item J.1, and development charges bylaw extension, item K.7.2. Any discussion on removing one or both from the consent agenda? Hearing none. Okay. All in favor then?
Aye.
Okay, that's been carried. Thank you very much. There we go. And we get into reports now. So there's one report, two reports. One is on consent. There's one left to deal with, and that's under planning and development. We have Director Martin is going to lead us through it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I don't have a formal presentation tonight as the matter at hand is rather administrative in nature. So staff are here seeking that council approve a bylaw to lift holding provisions in part of the Oxford Village Phase 1 subdivision. Those are the lands that are designated as residential first density and residential third density in the respective exception zones, as the requirement to lift the holding was entering into a subdivision agreement. We have successfully executed and registered a subdivision agreement for this development. So administratively, we're now lifting the holding on the zoning as those are now permitted uses. There are a few blocks, including a residential fourth density block, which require site plan control. Those are not being lifted at this time. And once those requirements within the holding zones for those zones are met, staff will be back to lift the holding for those portions of the development. So at this time, staff are recommending that council lift the holding for the portion of the property as identified in the bylaw, as they have met the requirements by entering into that subdivision agreement. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll read the resolution, and then if there's any discussion, we'll get into it once we have a mover, who is Councillor Wilson, and seconded by Councillor Stracher-Yan. So now it's the motion's on the table. Any discussion regarding this motion from Councillor Wilson? Councillor Stracher-Yan, do you have any questions to Ms. Martin?
I do not.
No? I had one question, just to slow things down. Okay. In the report, I know there's not a formal report, but in the bylaw, there is a Schedule A or Schedule A with an illustration of the property. I'm really curious about what part they're building. I can't make head or tail from that. I wonder if you could pull that up and help me identify the part that I see being constructed every day. And it's possible that residents are curious about that as well. There we go. So you can see that. So that should be oriented facing northwest. Is that correct? So the bottom is southeast?
So that is correct,
Yeah.
Deputy Mayor. So at the south, that's County Road 43. And then the right side of the page would be the eastern boundary If you go a little further east, that's the Food Basics is located not too far away, although there is some vacant land in between. So the developer currently is building within the R1-37 and R3-12 zone, kind of more on the right side of the map. That's considered to be phase 1A of the development.
Yes.
That's where they've gotten to a point where they have infrastructure in place to support the development of those houses. And then the second phase of the development is the phase 1B would be the lands that are more to the west. So if you're looking at the patterns, it'd be more on the other side of where you see the star-shaped pattern. That phase hasn't been constructed yet. They're focused on that first initial phase, which is more to the east.
And can you remind me what the section I or 1-7 is? Is that some sort of setback or special? What is that?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Deputy Mayor, for the question. So those are lands, in part, certain areas have a tributary that run through them. So that's encompasses the 30-meter setback from that tributary, as well as those are lands that are seen as, recreational space outside of the environmental protection zone, which is located at the north. Within that institutional exception 7 zoning is also the municipal well that was constructed. So these lands are meant to be more public, passive park, open use, or to provide a buffer from natural features within the development.
Great. Questions answered. Thanks very much, Director Martin. Okay, so the motion's on the table. We have a seconder and a mover and a seconder. So all in favor?
Aye.
Great, that's carried. Thank you very much. There you go. Do we have any correspondence? No, none this evening. Any other business that you know of? Any notice of motions, councillors? No? Okay, and now we have the introduction and consideration of bylaws. Okay, yep. Any questions from the public or media? There's no public here, but maybe online, or have you got questions by email, perchance? None online. Okay, great. So we get into close of the meeting, confirmation bylaw, moved by Councillor Wilson, seconded by Councillor Stracher-Yan. Be it resolved that bylaw 85-24 to confirm the proceedings of council at its regular meeting held on October 9th, 2024 be adopted and passed. All in favor?
Aye.
Great. Thank you, Councillor Stracher-Yan, for hanging in there and providing us quorum. And we are now at adjournment, moved by Councillor Wilson, seconded by Councillor Stracher-Yan. Be it resolved that this regular meeting of council adjourn at 7:08 p.m. I think that's a world record. Yes, it is. Congratulations, everyone. Not that we should be, dashing through the municipality's business. It's not a race. But I think we carried everything. It was fairly light. So all in favor?
Aye.
No discussion on this item. I'm quoting the mayor on this. Great. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you all. Have a good night.